Well, good morning, everybody. Gosh, when you didn't think anything could get any weirder than it's gotten, then all of a sudden all this weird stuff starts happening, right? This is crazy. Well, OJ Simpson died yesterday. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover some Fringe episodes. Thanks, Lisa, for the channel membership. Much love to you for that. We're also going to dive deeper into some of the Fringe universe, some aspects of that. There's also prisoners being held on the barge that crashed into the bridge. We're going to cover that as well, or the container ship, I guess you can call it. And what else is going on? Well, you guys come here because we see things through spiritual eyes. And in order to do that, we've got to take a step back and look at some of these things that are happening. Now, what's weird is OJ Simpson's death just 2 days after the eclipse, and I believe this is significant on some kind of spiritual level. The way it seems to me is that the orange juice, OJ, which he's named after, spiritually is like the sun. And OJ becomes the dark moon, eclipsing the sun. He died 2 days after the eclipse. And this whole thing is a humiliation, division, ritual. This is all about the duality. Why do I say this? Well, it's much like the Obama and Trump duality ritual. And many people remember that the whole OJ Simpson situation really was one of the first major modern situations that began to divide the races in America again. We had went for 20 years, 20, 30 years of good race relations, and then OJ Simpson, and then Rodney King, and from there it just continued to deteriorate. Now, if you don't quite understand how all this works, look at what the media is showing us now. Fake images of Trump with black voters. This is what they're trying to tell us that Trump is doing, or they're inferring that Trump is the source of this, and he's really not. But what this does is it infuriates people, right? On so many levels. These AI generated images, it infuriates people because of the race relations and what they're pushing down on top of us. And they've got this picture of Trump with black voters. Now, let's break down OJ Simpson. I looked at the numbers on this, and again, this is a little bit subjective. We're looking at this through spiritual eyes. But there's something to the age that he died at, 76 years old. We know the significance of the number 76 because the number 76 is a peculiar number. In fact, 1776, which is the year they tell us our country was founded, is 888 plus 888. And the number 76 is a peculiar number also because every time you add a 1 in front of the number 76, you can divide it by 88. So 1776, 1007, or 17,776. You can also do it with the number 176, which is 88 plus 88. So the number 76 is a peculiar number. But what else makes this weird is that OJ Simpson was born on 79. So we have 79 and 76. We know that 6 is also a 9. It's the yin and yang. It's like a portal number as well. So anytime you see a 6, it can also be a 9. Now, if you think all this is just chance, here's what I did. I plugged in OJ Simpson's numbers, the total amount of days that he was on this earth. And I found something somewhat weird. His total life compared to the time span from his acquittal to his death. So that would be like a marking point, right? So you got his total lifespan, which of course is the 76 years, 9 months, and 1 day. Here's the total amount of time he spent on Earth. And look at this, 28,035 days total. And then I plugged in the date that he was acquitted to the date of his death. And something weird happened. We get the number 28 again. 28 years, 6 months, 7 days. Which, of course, there's the 76 again as well. So, total lifespan, 28,035 days, which is 76 years, 9 months. And from his acquittal to his death, 28 years, 6 months, 7 days. So, what's up with that? Days and years kind of crossing over here with the 76 in it as well, which is when he, died or whatever. So there's something weird going on, isn't there? I think so. It's a mirror, isn't it? They're probably asking, what about the number 35? Because it's the only set of numbers that don't kind of fit into this, right? These 35 days here don't really fit in. Well, 3 plus 5 is 8. And we know that 8 is also that portal number again. Remember, 88 and 88 is 176. Now, it's not exact, but when you have spiritual eyes, you start to see these numbers kind of manifest, right? So this acquittal almost marked the middle of his life on a numerical level or on a spiritual level. Let's read about what happened, because there's a lot of conjecture out there in the media. People are wondering if he, maybe confessed on his deathbed and things like this. And, all the old players, Marcia Clark, I think her name was, and Kato Kalin, everyone's recycling everything and trying to figure out, did he say on his deathbed? Because apparently everyone knew he was going to die because he had cancer. So that's probably what could have happened. Let's read the article here. Now, I've got this poll before we get into this. I've got this poll up asking you guys if you guys want a Discord server, when we're not on the show here. Because, Rhea and I were talking about it, and there's a lot of YouTube who's kind of like night people, right? They don't ever come to our morning shows because they're up on other channels at night. And many of you were asking, or we came up with the idea that possibly we could, come up with a Discord server for those that want to go over there. Now, I haven't gone on Discord yet. I know there's a lot of gamers on Discord, so it's up to you guys. That's why I put the poll up here. Now, what else is going on, you guys? Well, let's read about OJ Simpson and see what's going on here. Dead at 76 after a battle with cancer, family announces. And it says, amidst fame of the football field was eclipsed. Look, they even mentioned the eclipse name here. Died 2 days after the eclipse. So this kind of confirms what we're talking about. Now, I know it sounds silly. Black man representing the moon and then eclipsed, right? But they're already making the connection here. Simpson had been battling cancer and had been in hospice. Now, did you know that he was in hospice? I didn't know he was in hospice. You would think that would be kind of announced, right? On April 10th, our father, OJ Simpson, succumbed to his battle with cancer. They said on X, and OJ Simpson was the first player, so they're just talking about some of his history, his sports history, and what he was known for, and all of this. Now, again, this is meant to kind of dig up some of these old, divisions, because a lot of people are really angry that he got exonerated, weren't they? And I can't remember the exact timeline if Rodney King happened first or happened after this whole OJ Simpson thing, but we'll have to see what else transpires with this. Now, let's get into some of these other stories today, you guys. Lots of different stories going on. Apparently, magnitude 2.6 New Jersey aftershock hits less than a week after the larger quake. And this was just like in the Fringe series that we've been decoding, the Fringe TV series, where there are all these microquakes happening on the East Coast, specifically Manhattan. And each time these quakes happened, it was signaling the opening of portals into an alternate universe. So the quakes continue to happen in New Jersey. Remember, this quake's epicenter was at Trump's golf course, and it cracked off. Started with a 4.8 the day before the eclipse. That was a 4.8 eclipse. Many people noticed that. And we dug into that a few days ago when we covered all this. So we'll have to see what's going on with all this as it all shakes out. Now, what else is going on? Well, remember how CERN fired up during the eclipse? Well, what they're telling us is that the famous Higgs from Higgs boson, which is the CERN scientist, they're saying he died on the eclipse. Now, he was 94 years old, so he was already old, but this is kind of weird, isn't it? Why did he die on the eclipse? When CERN had fired up the particle accelerator on the eclipse. Makes you wonder if these people aren't transferring their consciousness or something on these dates of portals. Eclipse obviously being some kind of a portal. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now, what else is going on? Well, I didn't know this, but apparently the crew of the Baltimore ship, the shipping container, are still stuck on the ship. Now, this is weird. There are no pictures of these people. Literally, the crew of 24 are stuck on the ship. They won't let them off the ship. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? We don't have pictures of these people. You would think that there would be like some ID badges that were shared, right? From the company, because obviously each one of these people have ID badges. They're dealing with sensitive materials, shipping. All this stuff is carefully controlled. So there should be an ID badge on file that would have been released to the public. Right? And where are the pictures of these 24 people on this shipping container ship? And why are they still stuck on the ship? Why haven't they been moved off the ship? You guys, this is shaping up to be some kind of bizarre sci-fi movie, isn't it? Let's go into the chat, see what you guys think. What do you think is the reason why these people are still stuck on the ship? Let's see. Cover up. You know, we were talking about that, and we're talking about different scenarios. Trafficking scenarios, right? What if some hackers got in and like literally sabotaged the ship, ran it into the bridge to get everyone's attention focused on the ship? And now with the investigation, aren't they going to like find out what's inside the containers? See, Raymond says they're all dead. Maybe they're just looking for body doubles to replace them. Who knows? Or maybe nobody was driving the ship to begin with. Weird. Anyway, they're still stuck on the ship. It's been 2 weeks, you guys. Now, they did an article on this, and they're trying to like explain this away. Look at this. Why the crew is still stuck aboard the ship that totaled the Baltimore Bridge. We'll see what they have to say about this. For more than 2 weeks now, the crew of the shipping vessel that collided with Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge has remained on board, leading many to wonder why. Yeah, I mean, do they have... There's probably no electricity on the ship. What about food? What about all the things that they would need? Right? Let's keep reading here. It says, in emailed statements, representatives from the Key Bridge Response Team and the Baltimore International Seafarer Center, which provide religious and social services for sailors, explained that the anchorage the sailors aboard the Dali ship are experiencing right now is all part of a day's job. Okay. The ship is still considered a working vessel. It's not that they have not been allowed off, but they are working in tandem with the agencies involved in the recovery cleanup effort. Well, that sounds like a cover-up to me. A representative from Maryland Ports Authority official Key Bridge response team echoed Messick's sentiments. The Dali crew, as the sports person told us, is still engaged in maintaining the current status of the ship, supporting the unified command mission operations and cooperating with the ongoing investigation. Wow. Look how carefully worded this is. I mean, forget about the fact that they were just involved in a major disaster and a bunch of people died. You would think that they would put an alternate crew on there, right? Take those guys off, give them some shore leave, let them recuperate, get them whatever help that they need after what they just went through, and debrief them, right? After all this happened. And then put on a different crew to finish all this up. Let's see what the comments say here. As a Navy vet, I could tell you that we wouldn't have left yet either. One thing has already gone wrong, and there's no way they would let another go wrong. Well, something went wrong. It went wrong because of the people that were on the ship, right? So this doesn't make any sense. Interesting information. This looks like a cover story. Interesting information. Since the ship is considered a working vessel, they are doing their jobs of crewing. So this looks all like AI generated, right? Because, wow, just unbelievable. So do you guys think that's suspicious that all that went down and they're still stuck on the ship? Just seems weird to me. Now, what else is going on? Well, more Fringe disclosure as we approach the end of season 3. Let's get into Fringe. Now, what is this about? Well, Fringe season 3. And in these episodes, we get the 99 red balloon confirmation as a person or these people literally float like helium balloons. I couldn't believe this as we were watching it. Well, let me get you guys up to speed on this. So in this episode, a mad scientist is doing experiments on paraplegics to make them float so that they can walk again. Now, they stay tethered to the ground with lead boots, but they're able to actually walk. Now, you'll remember that Pennywise, the clown, said, "You'll float too. We all float down here," is what he said in the famous Stephen King It movie and books. But how is Pennywise connected to this episode? Well, let's take a look here. Now, these guys are basically robbing an element. There's a mad scientist who's injecting these paraplegics with this serum, and he tells them, in order for me to continue to help you, you need to go steal this particular element, and it's like a metal, and it's one of the densest metals called osmium. It's actually more dense than lead, but because it is so rare, this is why we don't use osmium instead of lead.
I think the effects are wearing off.
Hey.
He's got a weakened immune system. That's what's making him float, is it?
So, did you catch that? A weakened immune system. And now you're seeing the connection between what we've been saying all along about these red balloons and the immune system.
Attacking his body's defenses. Works and no indication of anything gaseous, hydrogen, methane. Now this is interesting. His white blood cell count is low.
White blood cell count, deactivated immune systems is what causes the body to float. And we already knew this. When you start introducing foreign immunity, the body becomes dependent on that immunity, and it's less able to create its own immunity. Let's keep watching.
Any views on the second subject?
So far, he is not in the system.
Doesn't make any sense. There's nothing here that would alter body density.
So we find out here that basically what's causing these men to float is this serum that this rogue scientist is injecting in paraplegics. And what he did was he combined two of the densest elements, osmium and lutetium, and it made a new molecule that's actually lighter than air.
Here. Without a tether, you'll just keep floating up. And it's very important that you wear these when you're outside. Without a tether, you just keep floating up into the atmosphere.
Lutetium and osmium. Now, I looked at those two words, and you can literally take lutetium and osmium, and you can spell the word lotus, like the lotus flower.
Right, just like that. I don't feel anything.
Now this has, the false rapture and the Antichrist written all over it. Because, telling someone to get up off of their wheelchair or to throw away their crutches, that's what Jesus did. So anyone now claiming that they can do that is probably right up there with the Antichrist.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Go on, you can do it. I can walk.
Body has dropped 3 feet in the last half hour.
And what you're going to notice is all the balloon connections, because it's not just that they're floating. They actually basically say that they're like balloons.
Like a dying balloon.
Have you ever seen a balloon lose its buoyancy so inconsistently?
He's too heavy.
Now, how does all this fit into COVID and the vaccines and all that? Well, the blue blood is the goal. This is what they're trying to do to disqualify people from entering heaven. But this can only happen when you choose the wrong God, when you choose to follow and make the wrong choices when it comes to faith and healing.
Take another sample of his blood. Run a test for osmium. It weighs a ton. What?
What is it? Well, you think that... Why would that make him float?
It can't, of course. That's what's troubling me.
So, lutetium and osmium, lotus. Now, let's skip to another episode, and this is where things get interesting. Because in this episode, the other Olivia Dunham, they call her faux Olivia, for false Olivia, she becomes pregnant with Peter's baby. She's kidnapped, and her pregnancy is accelerated. She then escapes, and she gives birth in a Chinese store. First thing we see is this dragon up here, a rainbow dragon. And then we see the year of the rabbit, which was last year. This year is the year of the dragon. Watch this. Remember, this was 2010, maybe 2011 that this episode came out, pointing forward to the year of the dragon and the year of the rabbit. Here comes Olivia Dunham, escaped from her captors with her accelerated pregnancy. And there she sits in front of the Chinese store, and it says Happy Year of the Rabbit, which was, again, last year. 2023 was the year of the rabbit. This year is the year of the dragon. So they were absolutely pointing forward to now, and this was, 10 years ago. Let's keep watching.
I think that the baby's coming.
Listen carefully. I want you to look around and tell me what you see.
What?
They accelerated the pregnancy.
All right, you're gonna be okay.
No, Chinatown, I'm not exactly sure where. Okay, I see a dragon, it's red, and there's a noodle store.
Notice the phone booth. The copper phone booth. Remember, phone booths are portals.
Listen, Lincoln, I need a doctor.
Who is she talking to? Lincoln. Lincoln, the copper penny president. Phone booths are full of copper. All coins have copper cores. All phone booths have copper telephone lines. Twisted pairs of copper. Coppers are also involved in portals as well. And then, of course, we have the Chinese connection to all this. And it's a portal. It's birthing something in. Now, what is being birthed in and when remains to be seen.
Doctor.
Here's where things go off the rails. Because this is Peter's baby. Olivia gives birth to the baby. And if you follow the plot of this episode, then we have to surmise that Peter represents the fallen angel of the other universe. And he returns to impregnate the seed of the woman, which is Olivia. So, essentially, Peter becomes the Antichrist character. Why? Well, Peter threatens to destroy both universes because he's the only one that can operate the interdimensional superweapon, which is they call a vortex. It's literally a portal where you can go through time and go through space. Now, next year is the year of the snake. 2025 is the year of the snake. So we're going rabbit, dragon, and snake. Let's keep watching here because there is an interface. Let's back up a little bit here. This is actually the machine. And you can see that this kind of proves my point that Peter represents the Antichrist figure. He's the only one that can interface with this. And basically, he's here as if he's being crucified, just like Jesus was. But except this is the dark crucifixion. Because remember, everything that Jesus does, there's also a dark counterpart. So, the Antichrist, you can imagine, will be birthed in a similar method as Jesus was crucified, right? And so they show that here with Peter in the crucifixion position interfaced into the machine. Remember, he's the only one that can do it. He's the only one that can interface with this machine. And then it's at this point where things go off the rails, where Olivia gives birth to Peter's baby, and watch what happens next. You have to be kidding me. A heel prick test. Now, many of you will remember the first time that I told you about the first prophecy in the Bible, about the seed of the woman versus the seed of the serpent. The serpent bruises the woman in the heel. And I told you probably about 6 years ago that we thought that this had to be the prophecy of the heel prick test that all infants get at birth. Their heel is literally bruised, just like this. But here's what happens next. So now all this is starting to make sense. Olivia, the seed of the Christ, the seed of the woman. Which makes sense because the olive in the Bible is the seed. It's the pure seed. And this is why Christ was at the Mount of Olives. And this is why the dove brought back an olive branch. And this is why they used olive oil as anointing oil in the New Testament. It was signifying the pure seed of the woman that was at enmity with the serpent. Bruised in the heel. And that's exactly what happened to Jesus when he was crucified. The nail went through his foot and through his heel. So, now you're seeing why Peter in this series must represent the Antichrist. And this child here that was born of the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, instead of being bruised in the head, which is what the Bible says it should be, it's bruised in the heel. Wow. Watch what happens next, because we also talked about these heel prick test cards. Because after the child's heel is bruised, it's blotted onto a card. They put it in there, and this guy with his left eye scar grabs the card. and he gives it to the observer. Remember, we talked all about this. Biobanks. We exposed these heal cards. Remember? They were storing these cards in biobanks. And then the college, Texas A&M, were secretly purchasing these cards and doing genetic experiments. The military was doing the same thing, running genetic experiments. And then the parents of these children sued Texas A&M and the federal government for using their child's DNA from these cards without their permission. And this raises all kinds of questions about bioweapons, super soldiers, as well as the seed of the woman, the pure seed. It raises all kinds of questions. Why are they holding on to these cards? What are they looking for? And here it is right here in a Fringe episode. Now let's keep watching here, because there's a little bit more to this.
That goes to the lab.
He says that goes to the lab. Now I tried to pause this to see if I could see what's on this actual card. But one thing is apparent. There's a freaking barcode. The mark of the beast. Let's try to... Here, the guy gives the card to the observer. And here's what I was trying to see what's on the card. Let's see if we could zoom this in. Okay, maybe there's a good shot there. It says Sahan Tomas. Like Hazatan, like Satan. Tomas? I can't really make that out. Let's see if we can pause it here. Dr. Sahan Tomas, like Satan. Can't really make it out there. Anyway. Yeah, Tomas Sahan, or Saran, is the doctor. Doesn't say, let's see, Baby Roy? Is that what that says? I can't really make that out. Anyway, what's this about? Well, let's go back into the chat because you guys are smart. What was the significance of them giving... What was the significance of that guy giving the heel prick card to the observer in the stairwell? What was the significance of that? Let me go into the chat here. Oh, thanks for the super chats, you guys. Thanks, C. Raymond. And Dragon Kundalini Energy. I agree with that 100%. Please do code Ernst Veeder, the levitation teacher. I don't know who that is. All right, what's the significance? Okay, Jacob Etymology. It says Rashida. What is the significance of the stairwell with respects to all this? Saron, baby boy. Okay. Barcode started in the 70s. Stairwell is a portal. Sheldon is close. Stairwell, Jacob's Ladder. I would agree with that. There are really no wrong answers here. But I was thinking stairwell as in DNA, right? Yes, Lorraine Ray got it. DNA, yes. The stairwells typically represent DNA, but it could be all those other things as well. Portals, DNA. It's the ladder, right? So that's weird. Now, the guy had his left eye gouged out because the Bible says if your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. Well, he had his left eye gouged out. So there's another Antichrist thing there. Weird. Now, I think there's a little bit more here. Let's play the rest of this. Sahan Tomas. Now, I looked at these little circles where you're supposed to try to get the heal card, the blood spot into. And this is another giveaway, right? because there are 16 slash marks around this circle. I actually counted them. There are 16 in each of these blood circles. These are like ritual blood circles. 8 and 8 is 16. So there are 8 and 8 hash marks in each of these circles. And there's 5 total circles across the card. I believe that the 8 and the 8 is time and space, 88. So there's 8 and 8 is 16. And the 5 circles is the number of man, like the Vitruvian man. So it appears as though numerically they're trying to birth in the Antichrist through a portal. That's what it seems like to me anyway. Now, what else do we have here? Now, to prove my point in all this, many of you will remember the typewriter that was used in the series to talk between the worlds, right? There was this typewriter. It was called the Selectric 251 IBM typewriter. Here it is here. They went into this particular shop. They went into a back room, and there was this typewriter on the table with a mirror next to it, the mirror that you see on your screen. And they would type on the typewriter, and it would go into the other universe. And then the person on the other side could type a reply that would show up on this typewriter. So, just randomly, we're sitting here, and I'm like, I wonder if this was the typewriter that they used that had the ball in it. Remember that? Remember that little ball and it had all the characters on the ball? And so I did a search on the word typewriter ball, and this exact typewriter showed up in my search. The exact typewriter from Fringe that was used as an artifact to communicate between universes. Now here's where things even get more creepy. This is the typewriter here, the IBM Selectric. Are you ready for this? I hope you're sitting down for this one. And this just goes to show you that we're not just making these numbers up. Guess how many characters were on this little ball? Let me show you the ball first. Here it is right here. Many of you from this era will remember these typewriters and these little balls that had all the characters on it. Well, guess how many characters there were on the ball? 88. 88 characters. Remember, 88 is time and space. It's time travel. And Fringe was all about traveling between universes and traveling in time. 88 characters on the ball. Now here's what makes this even more creepy. They changed the number of characters in the newer models from 88 to 96 characters. There's another yin and yang portal number. So you know I'm not making up these numbers. There's a track record. We're in the middle of an investigation. It's been going on for about 11 years now on this channel. So when I say these numbers mean something, it's because we've already seen that they mean something about 20 or 30 times before this. So essentially, 88 and 96 characters. Now, Casey, you're still making stuff up. Okay, this will put all of this to rest. They call this thing a golf ball. And watch this. Let me go back into the chat first. This will put all of this to rest. Because the guy who invented that little ball that you saw in the Selectric died at 66 years old in 1977 on the 199th day of the year with 166 left in the year. In other words, let me say that again. The guy who invented that little 88 and 96 ball died at 66 years old in 1977 on the 199th day of the year with 166 remaining. Do you see now how this number 66 and all the other double-digit numbers It's all about twin Geminis. And this is why we've been on the trail of Trump. The 66th floor penthouse, the Gemini president, the 77 president, the 88 president from Back to the Future, Biff, 88 miles an hour. Now, this is all starting to make sense. The double digits. The Gemini. Weird, right? Very weird. Now, what are the odds of all this? Well, as you can imagine, the odds are pretty narrow. Essentially, his invention marked when he would die. The Selectric. This is probably why they chose it for the Fringe series as the typewriter. Now, they go on here to say that there is no such thing as a Selectric 251 model, but they're referencing the 251. They just put this 251 on there. But it's actually the same typewriter. Now, Gemini, double digits, the two universes. And it makes you wonder, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, is there an alternate counterpart somewhere on some spiritual level? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that we're trapped in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's a duality tree, isn't it? So, weird times, you guys. Maybe the alternate universe is the dark spiritual universe that we can't see. It's the demonic universe that we don't see. And so they're trying to bring that over into our material reality, trying to cross over, just like in the Fringe series. They're trying to combine us with our dark entity, right? Wow. Crazy, you guys, crazy. So the magic ball of the typewriter says it all. All right, you guys, I'm back in the chat. Yes, the twinning, the Gemini, the twinning. It all means something, doesn't it? All right, you guys. So is there anything I missed in that? I'm going to put links to all this for you guys. Yes, the Satan counterfeit. Were you picking up on all of the Antichrist references in the Fringe series? Peter being crucified and the child that they had together being marked in the heel. Were you picking up on all that as well? I need to look up that guy who actually got the card and gave it to the Observer. I'm going to type a note for myself, because that character might have some clues as well, like in his birthday or something, or his name. Okay. All right. The opening of the pit. All right. MTV now uses that ball. Oh, really? Huh. I think I remember that, actually. Yeah, because check this out. Remember, MTV was in that other series we watched called Archive 81. 9 times 9 is 81, by the way. And the man was watching MTV. And this was after they found Kurt Cobain. It was on MTV, which was, of course, the date of the eclipse. April 8th. Back in 1985, I think it was, or whenever Kurt Cobain died, or 95, I can't remember. Anyway, that's because that guy had just passed through a portal, and he was looking at the Twin Towers. So similar themes running through Fringe and the movie Archive 81, right? So maybe there's something to this MTV. So you're saying this ball? Let's look it up. MTV ball. They use the typewriter ball? Huh. MTV. Huh. I'll have to dig into that, you guys. There it is, right there. Wow. I do remember this. How creepy is this? Saturday Slow-Mo, the IBM Selectric. There it is. Whoa. Yeah. Welcome to the Matrix, you guys. Crazy times. All right. The Monsters Ball. Is that what it was? MTV News uses the ball. Okay, thank you for that. MTV News. That will help us narrow down the shirts. There it is right there. Wow. There it is. 1992. Let's take a look at this. Let's break this down. News. So they spell the word news on the electric ball, and it's like a graphic displays through. There's the millimeter wave dish. Wow. Let's put this in slow motion. See what we can come up with here. Let's make it bigger. All right, here we go, you guys. Whoa. Remember, this ball has 88 characters on it. NEWS. Wow. Sonia Soul. Creepy. We don't need to listen to that. So there it is, you guys. MTV News. I wonder if this is how they announced Kurt Cobain's death on MTV News. That would add to the plot of that, right? Wow. So, yeah, spellcasting. Now, here's the question. Okay. As you guys probably have figured out by now, the only people really picking up on this are people at channels like us, right? Aren't too many people digging into these things on this level. Yet, the controllers still use this ritual magic, even though 99.9% of people have no idea what they're looking at. So what does that mean? How are they able to do this and deceive people? What is the mechanism behind this? And are we getting close to figuring something out? I think we are. I think we are. Wow. Video killed the radio star. And what effect is this ritual magic having on all the people who have no idea what they're looking at? That is the question, right? And maybe this is why it's so hard to get people to wake up. Because they're all exposed to this ritual magic and have no idea what they're looking at. I just showed you a connection between portals and MTV News that no one had ever seen before. Wow. 88 characters. All right. History of the golf ball. Yeah, and then there's the whole golf ball thing, you know, golf. Which now makes all the sense in the world. Oh, wow. Maybe this is why Trump had the DeLorean in front of the Live golf tournament at his Bedminster. Wow. This is Trump's golf course. And here's the DeLorean parked out front. 88 miles an hour. And the golf ball with 88 characters on it in front of Trump's golf course. So he knows what's going on. Wonder how many divots there are in a golf ball. Let's look up golf balls. All right, let's take a look here. How many of these divots are there on a golf ball? I'll fall out of my chair if there's 88. Let's see here. Let's look at the design here. These are some early golf balls. Those look crazy. Wound golf ball. Dimples. That's what they're called. Dimples. How many dimples are there in a golf ball? Do you guys know the answer to that one? How many dimples in a golf ball does it say here? Regulations. Let's see here. Whoa. How many dimples in a golf ball? Well, actually, let's just do this. Let's just go here. Addition of dimples. All right. In the early 1900s, it was found that by dimpling the ball provided even more control of the ball's trajectory, flight, and spin. Indentations. Players were able to put additional backspin on the new wound dimpled balls. Okay. Doesn't say how many. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. 388 dimples. So I was right. Do you see how all this connects together now? It's like a hidden language that only some of us can see. Wow. 388 dimples on a golf ball. I'm just blown away right now. Wow. Well, there you go. Confirmed. Let's see if there's any other 88s that appear in this Wikipedia page. Wow, world record, 188 miles an hour. Ball speed record, golf ball speed is 188 miles an hour. I wonder if this ball went back to the future. Wow, crazy. The record is 1,070 dimples. Wow. All right, you guys. Well, I guess I'm going to pop off here. I'll see you guys on Sunday. I might take a look at this new Civil War movie. Everybody's been talking about it. Maybe we'll try to decode that. Just understand that they're trying to program people for Civil War through division. Don't give into it. Don't give into these getting triggered by these kinds of movies. But we'll probably take a look at it anyway, just to break down if in case there's any symbolism. Anyway, I love each and every one of you guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care and be safe.